What's up, everybody? It's your host, Chris with a K, Horns Down Podcast. Yeah, Mr. Sooners360 himself, Mr. Chris Mason. We are going live tonight without our third partner in crime, our third wheel, our guy, Jason. He is at the, I think, Mustang game right now watching Jaden O'Neal. So,
Against Bixby, who's like annihilating everyone.
yeah, so we shall see how that goes. I'm sure Jason will have a very lively commentary in the text. But people, we are here to talk about your team 131, your Oklahoma Sooners against the Ole Miss Rebels that are coming to town on Saturday. Chris Mason, I may say I'm really excited about this game. I definitely have some comments and I definitely have some takes to make tonight. So you know, I'll give the mic to you for a sec, but I just want you to know we're going to talk some football real quick before we get to kind of our what happened last week and our picks, and then kind of get to our predictions as well. But man, I'm telling you, Chris Mason, I feel pretty damn good about our chances this weekend. So I'll get into that here in a second. But as you guys are coming in, it looks like Jason said it's a weather delay. But as you guys are coming in, definitely comment, like, subscribe, do all those things on each channel. The Horns Down Podcast, the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason and the coach, and of course, Mr. Sooners360 himself. Go over there and subscribe to the Patreon he has as well. It's only $2, people. You're not going to get any fluff. You're going to get real recruiting news, and you can go from there. So, with that being said, Chris Mason, Ole Miss comes to town. We don't have to really talk about the Lane Kiffin comments. Who really cares about that? It's really going to boil down to the X's and O's and who can really who can take care of the football, who can control that line of scrimmage. It's going to be an SEC game this weekend. What are your thoughts about Ole Miss coming to town? About the game in general, and just anything that you have to add to it.
Well, I guess the trying to weigh this game is kind of difficult for me from two perspectives, Chris. I know you're going to hit us with some X's and O's, and obviously I think just from a stats standpoint, the two best sides of the ball are playing each other, and the two sides of the ball that have the biggest weaknesses are playing each other. So OU's defense being the best group, Ole Miss's offense being the second best group. Although, Craig, I'm having a hard time to decide which Ole Miss we're going to get. Are we going to get the Ole Miss team that couldn't put away a very bad Washington State team at home,
Mm-hmm.
or are we going to get or are we going to get the Ole Miss that was able to, score 5 drives in a row on Georgia? I'm just talking about their offense at this point, because to me that's really the test. Because we have a framework for how OU home games against good competition are going at this point, right? And Auburn, despite losing all these games, is a good team with really good NFL talent. I mean, they don't have NFL talent at quarterback, but they're loaded with NFL players elsewhere. Guys will play on Sunday. So I kind of have in my mind, Chris, that after the Michigan game and the Auburn game, that OU's sort of in like a 24-13 mode, playing teams in that sort of area, right? At
Mm-hmm.
home. That's sort of how OU's going to win games this year. In sort of a 24-17, 24-13, something along those modes. That 24 points from the offense, and the defense is going to hold teams below sort of the 20 mark. And that's sort of how I thought OU would win most of their home games this year, based upon what we've seen so far. So I don't know what to do with Ole Miss, right? They struggled to put points on LSU, and they struggled to put points on Washington State, who had both those games at home. So they, on the road, they put a number of points on Georgia, and they got into a massive shootout with Arkansas. So defensively, they don't seem very reliant. And let's just call it what it was. They melted down in the fourth quarter in Athens, and Georgia just basically shoved them around, got a couple of stops on defense. So Chris, it's the two. I think I know what OU is for the most part. I have a fairly decent idea of what I think OU will do and how OU wins games. The South Carolina game fit that mode a little bit. as well. If it was a road game, we found a little bit more on offense, and I think South Carolina's offensive line is so bad that our defense just feasted, and that's sort of the way that went. So I just don't know what to do with the two Ole Misses. So that's where I'm having a hard time breaking down this game. Which Ole Miss offense are we going to see? The offense that struggled to score against LSU, didn't really put Washington State away, or are we going to see this high scoring offense we saw against Georgia and that we've seen in other games?
All right. So Sooner Cherry Bear, he says Ole Miss doesn't have a defense, and we do. They have an offense. OU has a decent offense, and the rain will be a big factor in this game. So I think this will be a low scoring game, and I'm going 14-7. OU takes it. So I agree with you pretty much like 80% of that. I think there's 20% where I disagree with you, Cherry Bear, simply because I think that I think what you guys, what a lot of OU fans have to realize is that yes, OU is not necessarily doing things that you like, but they're doing things that they like. And I think the thing is that in the South Carolina game, I think that it's some people are still leaving there griping and a little bit bitter simply because they think that the offense could be a lot more explosive. Well, I say this right here: OU one has not peaked.
No.
Two, John Mateer still getting healthy and all the rest of that. I'll give you all of that. But three, I think at the same time, what you saw last week should give everybody in here a lot of optimism simply because it's not that they just responded, it's that they went and cleaned up and they came out and they showed out. I thought Arbuckle called a great game last week. It all made sense. Just move the ball down the field. Look, Chris Mason will tell you, yes, we want the deep shot. Yes, we want this. But I think Chris Mason will also say, yeah, I'm fine with what they're doing because they're moving the ball and it makes sense. And plus, on top of that, we're giving the defense a lot of time to rest. So the whole thing is that people we're playing complementary football, and this is right before our eyes, but we are so used to these high octane offenses accompanied by subpar defenses or defense that are good enough to get there but not good enough to win, if that makes sense. So again, not trying to down your comment, but I'm just saying that that's something to look out for. As far as Ole Miss's defense, I mean, pretty much is kind of the same position that Texas when you come into the game against Texas. Pete Golding, we all know. If you guys watched my channel and you watched me talk on SEC Connect or any other place with Ty and all of them, you guys know that I've always said Pete Golding, you never know what's going to happen. He could play his safety at nose tackle, and then he could play his actual nose tackle at safety. So I mean, he could come out there in a 2-4-5, something like that. Whatever he's going to do. I mean, this guy had Will Anderson dropping back in coverage and trying to play like Perkins is down there at LSU in a star position. That's just not what you're supposed to do. So with that being said, the biggest thing is that I think that the defense is it is what it is. I think that you have a lot of opportunities out there. I think it was said well today. Whenever you look at Eichert and Lehman, what they were saying, if the pocket holds up, if your offensive line is able to hold up, players will come open. They will make themselves available. And that rings true. I think on the other side of the ball, this is what I say here. Okay. Sometimes when I watch their offense, they kind of look like us a little bit. The only difference that I would say is that they want to try to force it. They're aggressive with trying to take those deep balls. We don't have to worry about those double moves and be ready for that. But really, you just take away the underneath. It's not necessarily the intermediary game that kills you. It's just how they do it. I mean, Daquan Wright, the tight end that they have, he's a weapon. He is very fluid. He not the he's more of like a Kyle Pitts type. I mean, maybe like a poor man's version of like Kyle Pitts or so. It's not really out there trying to block, not really trying to do out that, but he gets open and he's running a lot of skinny posts, a lot of inside routes. They will do a lot of different things as far as with their motion, Chris Mason. They'll run some crossers underneath to get your eyes going everywhere else and try to single him out to try to get him an individual battle to win. And so you just have to be able to pick your battles. But I think Kendall Daniels, um, um, Reggie Powers, guys like that playing cheetah, I think they'll be able to pick that up very well. Um, One thing that I can say, a common nucleus that I've seen with this offense that they have is that yeah, they can go up and down the field. The issue that I have is simply this right here. They haven't they haven't seen a defensive line like this. They haven't all year. He's not seen a lot of pressure. People are getting stoned. People are not being able to get there. So it's one of those things where he's on the same page or same level of athleticism as a Arch Manning. He's a guy that no, I don't think that he would kill you in a 40-yard dash. I don't think that he's a guy that's going to take it home, house it from 60 yards out, 50 yards out, hell, even 40. But he's a guy that's quick, and if you do not have good contain, he can get outside of the pocket and he can make some things happen down the field. But at the same time, I think that there are plenty of opportunities to make him very uncomfortable and take away some of those pictures. And that's what's going to be so interesting about this matchup with the defense, our defense against their offense, is that a lot of those routes that they want, I get it. Okay. Maybe the sideline passes with the double moves and all the rest of that stuff. Maybe that's the Achilles heel for us. But when it comes to some of that stuff that's going over the middle, different things like that, I'm interested to see how does he react whenever he gets a different picture after snap. Because we know that's what Brent Venables is really, really, great at. So it's going to be one of those things. Can you get pressure? Can you contain? And then can you pick up those underneath routes, those crossers, those little, because they're literally they will run crossers with the tight end, their slot, and you won't even really catch it because you're playing a zone, all the rest of that. So I think that when I turn on the tape against Arkansas, when I turn on the tape um, against Washington State, what I see is that if you're able to, it's not necessarily matching them, being a race car, being NASCAR, anything like that. What it mostly boils down to, Chris Mason, is just getting stops. It's just getting them off the field. They can get frustrated. They can slow down. Make this a game to where they have to really think it out, meaning that you force Lane Kiffin to think it out. And people, one last thing that I would say before I pass it back to Chris Mason, simply this right here. I do believe that the team that they had last year was way more talented than what they have this year. I think that the team last year would beat this team probably by 2 touchdowns if they had to play. I know that we're talking about last year, but at the same time, we went to Ole Miss with a really good defense and a bad offense, and we still put on a show in that first half. We just ran out of gas. So I'm eager to see what's going to happen here, especially with the weather, especially with all the different things that are coming into this game. But I think this is the game that plays in our hands. We're at home. We get them at home. I think Material's going to be healthy. I think now what you got to look out for is what's going on with Derek Simmons. Is he going to play? Looks like he's doubtful. Looks like he's probably not. Obviously, Chris Mason shaking his head. So we go with Howland, right? He's probable. So whole thing is you have to get good play from Howland, which he's been solid pretty much most of the year. I think pass pro and all the rest of that stuff has been fine, but you have to find that run game once again and make them be honest and make them pay whenever they try to do the whole 6-up thing or they try to drop 8 or whatever they're going to do. Because it's Pete Golding. And that's the thing. You never know what the hell Pete Golding is going to do. Fourth and Golding. That's all I can say. Go ahead, Chris Mason.
So listening to Gabe and Teddy today, the one thing I did note from when Gabe was talking about the offense on versus their defense is that they don't appear to have a lot of depth on the D line. Their D tackles are playing a lot of reps, and if we're able to run the ball a little bit, and that could be a key. I mean, in the fourth quarter, their defense just it went from trying to stay in the game to they just sort of wilted. So they don't have a lot of depth on the D line. I think that could hurt them, especially if OU's able to do, whether it's short passing ball control with some QB run game and then some efficient some efficient running back run game. I think that could be a key in the fourth quarter where maybe OU's able to just go on a 5-minute, 6-minute drive and maybe ice a game if they're up by a possession or something like that. So I thought that was something interesting. Is that basically, their depth is down across out on the D line, whereas we're going to be able to consistently send fresh D line at them. And the one thing, it's a cliche and it's obviously so obvious it's not even sometimes worth mentioning, but OU's getting so much pressure from their defensive tackles from a pass rush standpoint. Grayson Halton is doing filthy things the last couple of weeks. Jackson and Stone, as well as Dominic Williams. When you have that much pressure coming up the middle, I think it disrupts any quarterback. And I think Chambliss is a good scrambler. I don't think he's the 60-yard TD run threat Lenora Sellers was last week. I think he's a good scrambler, but I think Sellers is kind of an elite athlete from that standpoint. We're going to be a big jump up in defense for Mr. Chambliss, Trinidad. So I'm interested in that matchup. Chris, when you looked at the video, I was doing other stuff. I didn't have a chance to really watch any of the Wazoo, any of their Wazoo game. What did Wazoo do defensively that really had Ole Miss handcuffed for really most of that game, 3.5 quarters?
I think that they were physical. I think where they got caught slipping, and some other teams on their schedule, on Ole Miss schedule, have got caught slipping too. It's two things. It's one is, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Q1 Lacey is just an all SEC and is just this huge first rounder or whatnot. He's a really good running back. Stopping him when you need those stops and taking that away. But what's happening is it's really just that underneath game. It kills you from time to time, especially when you try to drop back and go to zone, because some of them they're not able to get the pressure all the time. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what really killed a lot of those teams, especially like Washington State, in my opinion, was honestly Chambliss, his legs,
Okay.
because he was able to keep plays alive. And there was a couple of times where they finally turned it on. It was a game where it felt like, hey, Ole Miss is just trying to really keep it vanilla, but they're playing too close to the brim. And Washington State took advantage of that. Washington State scored off a hell of a trick play. It should have been it was kind of a bang bang play. It was either going to be a sack, and that quarterback was going to get knocked the hell out because both of their D tackles, I think both of their edges came free on him. And when he turned around, he had to chunk that ball, and when he did, obviously it was a trick play, so they caught them flipping. So, anyways, so yeah, Jason just popped a notification here. Anyways, so yeah, no, that's what happened. It was Chambliss and his legs. He was able to, especially on those 36s, 3rd and 3s, different
Right.
things like that. He was able to just kind of keep the play alive, and then get to his playmakers whenever he needed to.
But Wazoo was physical with them in terms of frustrating them a little bit. Is
Frustrated.
why they were off sync for most of the first 3 quarters?
Well, but it was more or less their offense as well. Their offense put together some really good drives, man.
Okay.
They put together some really good drives, and they ran the ball really well. So, it was kind of a back and forth game until it wasn't. Obviously, it was 24-21 was the finished product. But, you go to that game, then you go to the LSU game as well. LSU, as bad as they played, they weren't too far off either. But what it came down to was just the fact that their corners couldn't really cover on those, on the outside, really. It wasn't really the underneath that was killing them. It was the fact that they were losing every one-on-one battle that they had
A
whenever
lot of
Chambliss was
PIs,
throwing.
right? A lot of PIs in that game.
Yeah, a lot of PIs in that game, but it was just those RPO plays were killing them.
Yeah.
They sunk in, and then all of a sudden it just when it turns to that one on one battle, you're just they have good position and some bang bang plays, but it was just a simple fact that they lost more one on one battles on the outside on the perimeter than they did than they won. So I think that's what kind of gets you in trouble, and so that's a thing where you say, I think Peyton Bowen will be fine, but RSJ, Boganowski, guys like that, you say, hey, I know you want to make the big play. I know you can make the big hit, but I need you to be disciplined, right? Especially RSJ, because that's something that he struggled with last year, especially in the Tennessee game, if memory serves me correct. Just jumping into some of these comments real quick. Rob says it comes down to the team's weakness versus weakness. Whose weakness is worse? And that's Ole Miss defense, 31-17. Then let's see. Sooner Cherry Bear, he comes back. He says Ole Miss couldn't really get a stop versus Georgia. Also, there might be turnovers because of the rain, and we know when OU has their total defense, we can stop the run and stop an offense, but the rain. So let's see. Just jumping back over here. I said this. I'm not even gonna show that. Not even gonna do that. So I don't trust the SEC refs in this game. I really don't. No, I don't think it's gonna be a game that comes down to it. Um,
The
James Trice.
refs seem to be screwing everybody in the SEC
Oh yeah.
equally.
Uh,
Equally.
James Trice, he comes in here. He says they'll target Kobe in coverage with RPOs. Yeah, I think they will. I mean, I think the thing is that when you play zone, you need to be able to trust that your zone is going to be able to do what they need to do. And I think that's what Kendall Daniels has helped us with this year. It's kind of solidifying that, kind of helping that, amplifying that as much as possible. So that will be interesting to see. I mean, it's going to be a bit of an interesting matchup. I think they will have a little bit of success. We're not going to get pressure every single time, but then again, we could, Chris Mason. We very well may get pressure each time, kind of like we did in in the um, South Carolina game. I think I was talking to Jason before we jumped on here, and like I told him, I was like, if you go back to that South Carolina game, it was a combination of things. It was physicality, and then here's a clear play of what I'm going to say. If you go back to that Marcus Strong play when he got that safety,
Yeah.
that was more technique than even him just being, a 300-pound, 6 foot 4 5 plus guy. That was a lot of technique. They were going one way, he was going the other. He beat them with technique. He went up, he went north, and then he went east, west, or whatever, however, whichever direction you want to say he went. He went there very quickly. He turned up, he went and got the guy on the ground in the end zone and got the safety. So I think it's one of those things where it's going to be interesting to see with these twists, these stunts. Hell, just beating them straight up. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to try to counter that D line. And I think the thing is that for me, even with the comments that Kiffin made, when I watch their offense, I think that they're really good at what they do, and I think that they get people. Kiffin's an offensive guru. Let's just be honest. But at the same time, when I watch the offense, I'm not going, ooh, I'm not going, ah. I'm saying, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's a good play. Oh, yeah, that's a really good play. But at the same time, I have to see it against this. I think you can make an argument that, yeah, LSU may have like a top five, a top three, maybe a top five defense in the SEC. I mean, you could. But at the same time, I don't think that they have that D line like this. So it's going to be one of those things. It's funny that we're sitting here talking about a war in the trenches because that's really what it's going to boil down to. But again, when you put on the video of Ole Miss, I think that if you could pick things up, um, underneath, and you could take away some of the things they want to do, because it's not like they're they're the Patriots where they're sending Daquan Wright on seam routes the whole time, like Grunk would run a whole bunch, right? They'll do that from time to time with him. I mean, they love to go with. It's not necessarily even a tight formation. Sometimes it looks like it's four wide, and they'll motion one of their wide receivers back over to the other side, kind of get an unbalanced look right there, and then they have that guy one on one. They isolate whoever's on Daquan, and then they get him upfield, whether he's running kind of an out, he's running a corner route, he's running a skinny post. I mean, he will run a seam, he will do just about everything. But those are the matchups that they try to key on, and that's what they try to do with a lot of their motions. They're motioning those guys out, knowing that he's probably going to get the ball, Daquan, if he has a favorable matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me that it looks to me like the defense. Our defense is going to do what it's going to do, right? And Kiffin's going to do what he wants to do, and it'll be a back and forth matchup. They'll make some plays. What our defense does in terms of forcing field goals instead of touchdowns. That'll be big. That'll be big on Saturday. It'll be the best offense we've seen, I think, from a statistic standpoint and maybe skill standpoint at least in terms of how, from an offensive coordinator, what they actually do perspective, right? I mean, I don't think they have. I mean, they don't have better receivers than Auburn, right? But they have a better quarterback, and Kiffin, Kiffin versus Hugh Freeze. I mean, Kiffin having to tell Hugh Freeze that OU had stole their signs was one of the hysterical part of that press conference. Like, oh yeah, I told Freeze after the game they know your signs. So from that perspective, it's to me, it's really where this game really comes down to is OU's offensive line, OU's ability to run the ball, Mateer's ability to distribute the ball to playmakers, and can OU put up, that 24-point sort of average that they've been getting at home against good squads. I mean, I don't think the Ole Miss defense is anywhere near as good as Auburn's or anywhere near as good as Michigan's. At least statistically, yeah. The stats don't bear that out. I know OU was able to really get 3-4 good drives, touchdowns against both of those teams, and get to that 24-point range. So if OU could stretch that out a little bit and do it earlier, and put even more pressure on Ole Miss's offense to have to try and keep up and not fall behind by a couple of scores, I think OU's defense could get a turnover, and this thing could snowball out of Ole Miss's out of the direction Ole Miss wants to go. But because you saw what happened in South Carolina after they fell down by 17. It was just over. I mean, yeah. The OU was already dominating them, and then the offense put more points on the board, and that was just it. It was finished. So I don't think anybody wants to be in a position where they're in Norman being down something like 24-10 in the fourth quarter. I don't think that's a place anybody wants to be. Ole Miss's best thing is to stay in it early, stay within a possession, and until the fourth quarter, and then try and make some magic happen.
You just have to find a consistent rhythm early in this game, and that's going to be the difference. Your defense is going to give you a lot of opportunities to go out there and seize control of this game. You have to have that killer instinct and try to put this game away as early as possible and put doubt in their mind. Let a lot of things start creeping in. I feel confident about the matchup. It's just to be honest with you, just all the podcasts that I've listened to this week, all the different things that I've just kind of tuned into as far as national and just like local media and just local podcasts. What I would say, honestly, to me, the X factor really boils down to the matchup on the other side, which is Golding versus Arbuckle. So
yeah, I'd agree with you.
I think that's where that will tell us what's going to happen, because the whole thing is that at times Ole Miss's defense can look lights out, but also on the other hand, there are times where they can be very anemic. They can be they
They can
will
get gashed. They can get
yeah, they
gashed.
will get gashed an awful lot, and they will play on the back of their heels opposed to trying to going forward, right? So that's something that you definitely have to, um, um, realize. So it's one of those things where it's a coin toss. What Pete Golding? There's times where Pete Golding comes in and he calls a terrific game, and then there are times where he comes in there and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, why is it so effing hard? Right? Like it feels like the game plan is just so overcomplicated, right? So those are things that you have to be on the lookout for. So again, I think that this is a favorable matchup for our guys. I think what it boils down to is execution and two critical areas, which is for me for the offense. Obviously, we could talk turnovers, we can talk this or whatever. I think it's find a consistent rhythm in the run game, right? Whether it's 3 yards, 4 yards, whatever. Keep us in short, no short distance plays. When they do bring those six up, or when they do show the blitz and all the rest of that stuff, handle it accordingly. But at the same time, what you did against Carolina last week, you should be able to build upon that this week, not just in the run game, but in the passing game as well. It made sense and it looked good, right? It was crisp, it was concise, it was precise, and it was on target, and you scored a bunch of points off of that. Um, on the other side of the defense, I would just say, hey, I think that they want to challenge they want to take it out of our D line's hands, and they want to try to challenge us down the field. So the whole thing is make them play, and I make them pay, and I think that you will have opportunities. Their defense is a defense that will give you all the opportunities in the world to beat them. You have to go out there and do it. Offensively, they're going to be, this is going to be a really good matchup for us, and this is going to help us see. They're going to have some drives where they win some battles, but again, I don't see them winning a lot of battles. But got to see it on the field.
I think the one other variable is that when I was watching their game against Georgia, they were gassed in the fourth quarter. They were just out of it. They were just out of energy. Georgia was just kind of running over them. Chris, I think this second road game in a week after such a big game, and they expended everything. I think in that Georgia game. They threw the kitchen sink at Georgia to get those 5 TDs on the board. And I just wonder maybe that they don't have, OU, while OU sort of cruised in South Carolina, we did our usual job of playing like 25 guys on defense. Georgia only played like 15 guys against them. So they're going to be hit with I just wonder how much Ole Miss has in the tank.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Put doubt in their mind, make them have to make decisions, make Lane have to stop worried about signal stealing or whatever, and have to figure out, do I need to play Simmons or do I need to stay with Chambliss, right? So I mean, there's you like I said, just finding a consistent rhythm early on. That's usually whenever we look our best.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, again, I've told people this on and off screen. I think that the worst game you played happened 2 weeks ago. No need to talk about that. I think that it's really only up from there. I think that we've seen this team play really good football before and now. So the whole thing is that you have to find consistency. My biggest goal right now for this team, if I had a short term goal, Chris Mason, that we needed to meet, win these next 2 games, get to the bye week. What have I been saying? What I say about the first bye week? You got to go into the bye week undefeated. It's important. It is super important. It is one of the biggest morale boosters for a college athlete when they know, hey, we're winning. Everything feels good. The atmosphere is really good around here. I get to go home. I get to kind of, feel rejuvenated in whatever I'm doing to get myself, back just to me. I know I need to focus in once I go back, but I'm telling you, it's just what it does for the spirits for everybody. Know you're going into a bye week. You're not having to worry about crazy practices and the coaches trying to do this and having to learn all these new things. It's one of those things where it just feels really good. So again, short term goal right now is to get to the bye week. We'll worry about Bama and everybody else later, but you got to go and take care of business this weekend. You win this game right here, like we said. You won the South Carolina game. You win this game right here. You're smack dab back in the middle of all the conversations as far as playoffs and everything else that can come. And then,
And you
yeah,
would have gotten the key if you're able to continue winning. You also have a key tiebreaker over Ole Miss.
exactly. So that
Because I don't think they're gonna they potentially they may if OU beats them on Saturday, Ole Miss's schedule is pretty favorable for them to run the table from there on out. I mean, obviously, SEC games are being kind of crazy. Double overtime, double overtime here, overtime there. So the Kentucky taking Texas to overtime, the Auburn Mizzou overtime game was nuts. So you can't bank on anything anywhere in SEC play this year. But if you could win this game, you get a key tiebreaker, both from SEC standings and from the college football playoff committee. If you can beat Ole Miss, and that win helps your profile as well. So because if Ole Miss goes 10-2, they're going to be at the very least a top 15 team in the country.
exactly. SEC ball, man. It's just crazy. Let's see. Showtime 409 said, I don't see our DBs being able to hold Ole Miss wide receivers too many PIs because they were in the wrong position versus SC. I mean, I get it, but also I don't, simply because I think, I mean, it's Boganowski. They call him Bam Bam for a reason. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I Boganowski could have turned around and would have got that ball. I really do believe that. It was a bit underthrown. And at the same time, I mean, it's him just being kind of young and, just tackling the guy, right? When all else fails, he's not going to catch it. F it. We'll give him 15 yards and go get the ball back anyways, right? Get a 3 and out. One of the other PI calls, I mean, here's the thing. Does that happen if the referees actually see what all OU fans saw on film whenever they or on TV when they saw Sellers step out before he crossed that line? And then on top of that, I mean, that's what leads to that. And then on top of that, you also got to remember, I mean, like that busted coverage play, right? False start, hold, a lot of different things that were happening back there before we even got there. So, I mean, it's kind of bang bang plays. Obviously, they benefited from that stuff, but at the same time, I mean, you got to also think about what led to that, what happened before that, what's going on. So obviously, yeah, maybe we should just be even more disciplined, this and that. But I mean, let's just be real. Like we're not a perfect team. I don't think there really is a perfect team out there. I think a lot of teams are still flawed. Um, Ohio State is as good as they look. I mean, here's the thing: Big Ten is soft as hell this year. I mean, it's not really that good. It's really top heavy this year.
Yeah, yeah. I
SEC,
mean,
yeah, SEC is like 1 through. There's like 8, 9 teams that could, that, and even some of the teams like LSU, if they went out, they still make the playoffs. So
yeah. I mean, it's nearly Halloween, and we have 8 SEC teams, 9 SEC teams with one loss or less. I mean, it's crazy from that perspective in terms of the balance of play. I mean, SEC standings are they're just crazy.
yeah, yeah. And it's going to be like that every week. I feel like every week we walk in there. Scott Walker says we'll be ready. I feel like every week that we come here to talk, we're saying the same thing. I think
It is there are 8 teams. There are 9 teams with 8 teams with one loss or less
yeah,
in SEC play,
yeah,
and
and,
then 3 teams with 2 losses. I mean, the only separation is really South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Auburn, and Kentucky, and I think the Gators are about to join that group. But other than that, you've got 10 teams, all who have it. I mean, the Tennessee Volunteers could win out. I don't think they will, but they could. and they could be in it. It's with the unbalanced schedules out there, it's an absolute mess.
Yeah, no, and like I was saying, I think that we come in every week, and I think every podcast is saying the same thing. This is the most important game for
Yeah.
OU, and it's going to be that way until the season finishes.
Well,
But
we're on a playoff. We're on like a 5 game playoff eliminator, right?
yeah,
I mean, just every week it's gonna be, you know, we're gonna be in that. We're gonna be in that set. We're gonna be in that setup. We got to win this game.
hey, James Thrice says Kentucky's really separated from the group, headed south but separated.
Well, and I just can't believe they. I look back at that box score and I'm like, how in the hell did they lose to Texas?
I,
How did Texas roll out such a freaking turd? And it was just amazing. I mean, I've never seen a box score look like that. And with you being able to say, no, the other team did win. How?
yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what they do against Coach Levy in Stark Vegas this week.
Jimmy Satterfield says, should Jacoby Johnson get more playing time? Just earn his way on the field. I think that when he's been out there, he's been pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah, I think with it looks like Gentry's out, not long term, just this week. So yeah, there are reps for Jacoby Johnson to seize in practice this week.
yeah.
We all think he's got the physical skills, and we all know that wide receiver idiocy last year screwed him up. So yeah, he's got a chance to make some plays and get on the field.
So Scott Walker, he says there's not anybody we can't beat, and on the other hand, we could lose them all. Hey man, Scott, come on, man, don't be Sooners Cowboys tonight. Where's Sooners Cowboys?
I'm not missing him.
Where's Sooners Cowboys? This is insane. We on a podcast, and Sooner Cowboys isn't in here right now.
Make talking all kinds of doom shit. Yeah, I mean, he's right that there are all of these teams, that we're facing the next 5 weeks, including Ole Miss. There's very much if you look at a lot of the advanced power metrics, a lot of these games are like OU 51%, Ole Miss 49%. Like every game but the Alabama game is very much like a 50-50 kind of toss up for the football power index and the other kind of matchup stuff that's out there. The other kind of advanced power metrics kind of looks. We have a little bit of a gap with Missouri, but the LSU game's 50-50. And Sooner Cowboy shows up. It's like Candyman. You said his name 3 times, Chris.
It says like yeah.
Sooner Cowboys. Ah, there he is. Damn it. Well, at least he doesn't have bees and a pitchfork on his hand, I hope. So anyway.
He may.
But yeah, I think it's. Yeah, it is. I mean, this is where we are. Everyone's like, I know Jason did a show where he was asking if the South Carolina game meant, assured Brent of another year. And I'm like, we got 6 more, we've got more games to figure out. And if he beats Ole Miss and we go, and if he beats Ole Miss, 7-1 looks pretty damn sweet. Yeah. With 2 more home games left against 2 teams that appear to be that are very flawed and are running on fumes. I mean, LSU could be in complete disarray by the time they get to Norman, and I think Missouri's about to get exposed in the back half of their schedule. So it's going to be interesting, but it's one game at a time. Only have to worry about Ole Miss on a Saturday. Get that win. We'll keep. Let's start imposing a little home field Norman advantage, right? Our first year in the SEC, Tennessee and South Carolina kind of drug us around a little bit.
Yeah.
But we've defended home against good teams. Let's keep that home field advantage going. Let's make Norman a place where folks don't want to play.
All right. Let's go ahead and transition into it. Let's get to our picks, people. Okay, so leading rusher looks like you guys picked Blaylock. I picked X-Rod. Something about that.
Can you put them up?
Oh, I did. I did. It's there.
They just disappeared. There you go.
All right. So yeah, I got X Rob.
Do we want any quick review from last week, or not worried about that?
No, I don't think Jason made that. So we can just go into this week.
All right,
So again,
perfect.
we got Blaylock. You guys got Blaylock. I got X Rob. I think that probably Blaylock does get more opportunities, but I think X Rob could have a couple of long runs. He's starting to look like himself, in my opinion. I think last week was really good. I was really really happy about that long run.
He could do the Trey Sermon fourth quarter closer role. I could see that in a rainy day. I could see you make a tired Ole Miss defense have to tackle X Rob a bunch.
Yeah.
Tackling a 235-pound back in the fourth quarter when you haven't been subbed out much. You could definitely win out with some fourth quarter Trey Sermon like runs from X Rob. That's a definite possibility.
All right. So you guys got Giovanni Gibson. I got Satania. I think Satania is a safe pick. Why did you pick Gibson?
I just think there's a breakout game coming. So I'm gambling it. I'm kind of gambling that this weekend, maybe Mateer, maybe a healthier Mateer, maybe you go deep. Ole Miss is like, okay, we're going to try and shut down OU's resurgent or new running game, and you hit Gibson on some deep one-on-one passes where he out muscles a smaller DB and makes a big play.
No, I could see it. I could definitely see it, man. I think he's yeah. he's superhuman, man. He's got a chance. I'm eager to see him like next year, but right now I love it, and I think that he stepped in a big way. And he's still at the level to me where Keontae Lewis is right now, and I think there's another gear that he can get to. So yeah, I'll give you that. Will the Sooners pass for 300 yards? I'd say no, but I think it's because I think the defense is going to put us in really good positions to have really good field position and everything. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think maybe some short fields, maybe a Satania return or two, or maybe just we're stoning them and getting good field position, and maybe the running game in the fourth quarter kind of takes over and ices this game, and that's why I think it'll be very, very close to 300, but I think OU won't necessarily need that much passing yardage.
All right. Will Sooners have a 100-yard rusher?
Yeah, I think Blaylock is going to break a big one for a touchdown early in the game. Set the tone.
Okay, that's a bold pick. That's a bold pick, Chris Mason. I like it. All right, let's keep going. Will OU score a special teams touchdown? We all said no. I kind of given up on that. Does OU score a defensive touchdown? Jason says yes. We both say no.
I do think OU gets a turnover that sets them up on short field.
I want to say I think this is mostly a 3-and-out game. I don't think that this is. I don't think that this is a. I don't think that this is a. I don't think that this is a turnover happy game. He where he likes to put the ball, where he likes to place the ball. If he's not throwing it deep, some of the places that he likes to place the ball are more on the inside, more over across the middle. So there are opportunities for a lot of big plays to be made. And we've seen OU, Brent Venables' defenses be very opportunistic when allowed to be. We just have to go and execute. I think that this defense, you already know, scheme-wise, BV is going to put you around the ball to go make a play. You just have to go make it. And I think that's the reason why. I think that's the underlying issue with the turnover problem is that we've been there more times than not, and we've read plays very well. We just haven't been able to execute. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if you see turnover wise, I could see Kendall Daniels kind of getting that huge wingspan of his, maybe getting his hand on a ball from Chambliss, who's a little shorter, maybe misses him, and he gets a hand on a ball, it deflects, and maybe somebody like Peyton Bowen gets a ricochet interception, something like that. But I do think maybe OU gets an interception or a fumble, quarterback strip sack, something like that that sets them up with good field position for a quick score.
Then we got does OU have an offensive play over 50 yards? I think um, we both said no. Jason said yes.
Until I see one, it's
Yeah.
hard to say that we're going to have one. I think we get a couple of 40-yard plays. How about that?
Okay. Said and you know what? I think this it'd be interesting to see what Canic does. This is a game where Canic could really help us in this game as well. Does OU hold Ole Miss under 300 yards? You said no. Jason said yes. I said no mistakenly. When I made this pick, because I didn't necessarily read that for whatever reason. I'm gonna actually change mine to yes.
I'm changing it on the spreadsheet for you. All right,
Okay, I think that
an official change.
I would say yes, they do. I think that they hold them somewhere around like 250 or 250, 275, something like that. It will. I think it could be somewhere in the area of 300, but I don't think it would be 300.
So the only reason I said that is I think there are garbage yards that push them over the top.
All right.
Like it's very close, but you know after the games I just think there'll be some. I think they'll get some yardage in the fourth quarter. That is more, OU's winning it. It's taking them. OU's winning the time of the clock game, yards clock kind of situation, something like that.
All right. Defensive MVP, Jason picked Peyton Bowen. I picked Taylor Wine, and you picked R. Mason Thomas. I think that I would keep it with us on the D line. I think our edges are going to be big on this. I can see them coming in, kind of pinching, doing some things, kind of like what Texas did in the middle, trying to kind of beat us on the back end. Lacey's a good back. I'm like I said, I'm not going to say he's Superman, but he's a really good back, and he can make you pay if you allow him. But this is a game where I think that we can make it hard on them and force them into obvious passing situations more often than not. And I think that starts with the defensive line. And I just like the way Wine is playing. I think that he's playing so technically sound, but it's just the fact that, just like with a lot of players on this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the athleticism is something that's kind of it's second nature to them. It's first nature to them, however you want to say, however the saying goes. But at the end of the day, I think that the technique and all the rest of that stuff is allowing our guys to really win battles. So I'm really interested to see how do they counter that. That's something that has been overshadowed by the Florida talk, by the signal stealing, talk or whatnot. Nobody's talked about this defensive line being able to go out there and potentially controlling that line of scrimmage and making it very hard for him and being in his face an awful lot. So, because that's one thing that I haven't heard has happened to him a lot, which is he's been sacked a whole bunch. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I haven't really heard that a lot. So how do they counter that? You can't sit there and say, yeah, our offensive line is going to sit there and be able to manhandle and do this and do that. There hasn't been one offensive line this year that said, yeah, we got it on with OU, in my opinion. So I just stick there with that. Offensive MVP.
One thing on R. Mason Thomas, why I chose him.
Go ahead.
Fourth quarter, OU may need a drive, kill, and play from the defense, right? And fourth quarter, we all know that's R. Mason Thomas's time. So maybe he comes through with that, those killer sacks like he is known for. So
Okay.
third and long, fourth and long, whatever they're trying to stay in the game, and R. Mason gets a critical sack that basically gives OU the ball.
Okay. So offensive MVP, you got Jason picked Giovanni Gibson. I picked Mateer. You picked Blaylock. I think Mateer gets it done this week. I think that the healthier he gets, the better he's going to play obviously. So I think we get to see the material that we all saw early in the season this year. I think that he gets it done on the ground too a bit.
Michigan material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, final score. Obviously, I'm gonna go with mine, 24-13. I think that this is a game where we control it the whole way. It's not in doubt. Maybe they score early. I think we get up early, and I think that we go from there. I think this is a game where we don't necessarily have to sweat it out, but we do put it on the defense to kind of send us home.
So I'm going with 27-23 OU. OU OU makes a mistake. We hold them to a field goal. We hold them to a couple of field goals. That's where they get the 23 from. They kick 3 field goals, and OU is able to close the game out in the fourth quarter with a game-ending drive, 4 or 5 minutes, victory formation on Owen Field, just like it should be.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right,
Great.
people, we're gonna keep this going really quick so we can get up out of here. We have the My Bookie Pick 5 up to $1,000 welcome bonus. Definitely go out there and check it out. You see that link right there. Click that link, Jason's link, to be able to go and enter that deal. But be careful. Obviously, the feds are coming for the NBA, so they may come to a place near you soon, right? So pretty wild out there. All right, let's look and see what happened last week. As you can see, people, hopefully that pops back up. But as you can see, last week was a good week for the good guy, Chris with a K, horns down. Um, I picked LSU for whatever reason I did. It was stupid, but I picked them, and yeah, Jason looked like he had a pretty shit week. Uh, Chris Mason, I mean, you took the points with South Carolina. I told you not to. You took USC.
I'll take an OU loss in the right direction any day of the week.
Hey, you took USC as well. I did not understand that either with the points. I was just like, okay.
They almost pulled that off. I mean, they almost covered. They didn't win the game, but there was almost a backdoor cover there, Chris.
I whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat.
Well, it's all right. I'm playing the long game here.
All right, people. As you can see, this is what's happening this week. I think I picked right this week. Rob, hey, you've been very kind to us. I picked Vandy. I'm sorry. I did. It's at Vandy. I don't think that you guys are running on fumes or anything like that. I think that Vandy's just playing really good football. They're in a zone right now, so we shall see.
Plus, Missouri. I mean, let's be honest. If not for for the usual Jackson Arnold nonsense, Missouri's losing that game at Auburn. They should have lost that game in Auburn. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's all right. So,
Hey, real sidebar, real quick.
no, Jason's got this wrong. I did the thing again. I picked Ole Miss to cover.
Oh, I got you.
Ole Miss to
Anyways,
cover. That's why the score is 27-23 because I needed OU to win, but Ole Miss to cover.
I got you. So yeah, Ugg says Chris sounds like Lincoln. We are so close. People, I got to tell y'all a sidebar real quick. I was at my job or whatnot. I met a guy earlier this week. You guys will not. You guys are gonna go crazy when you figure out where he's from. I'll tell you, Muleshoe. I said, really? That's a real place? He said, yeah, I'm from Muleshoe, Texas. I said, oh, that's wild. He said, Lincoln's family, they just so nice, so this. I said, do they know that he made me drop my Chipotle bowl whenever he bolted to USC and left us in the dirt? That mother. I'm gonna leave it there. All right, let's get back to it. So okay, so you took Ole Miss with the points. I took Oklahoma. Missouri at Vanderbilt. I picked Vandy. We all picked Vandy. We all picked LSU. Are you taking the points? Or are you picking them outright?
Well, it's only 2.5, so I guess I'm. I guess I'm pick. Trust me, picking Brian Kelly to win anything is against my general belief system. But I just think A&M's been kind of doing this high wire walk all season. You know, the Notre Dame dropped PAT, the shootout with Arkansas, the rock fight with Auburn. It's a night game, right? So, I think it's just that's why I'm going with LSU. I don't really want to. I don't really want to pick them, but it just seems like A&M maybe A&M's magic string. I think is over.
All right. What USF at Memphis? This will be a game I think a lot of people should pay attention to or will pay attention to, but yeah, we took USF.
It's a playoff deciding. It's a playoff spot
I,
deciding game.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think USF rolls into Memphis and beats them by 30. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna lay it out there.
Well, Memphis got their ass handed to them last. Was it last week by UAB or the week before?
Oh, let's see.
Um, with Chris Mortensen's son taking over for uh, the Bucks Ravens quarterback. That
Oh,
blowhard.
Chip Wilfer, yeah.
Yeah, it took over for him. So yeah, I think Memphis is they're at home, but I think USF too physical, too much of a running game, and gets it done. It was hard finding 5 games this week, by the way, Chris,
Oh yeah.
without going to some weird, some silly SEC matchups because there's just not that. I mean, OU, Ole Miss, and LSU A&M are really the only ranked. And Vandy, Missouri. Those 3 games in the SEC are the only ranked games in the matrix this week.
All right. We got BYU at Iowa State. I just picked Iowa State. I mean, that's there. I think Campbell's going to get it done. This will be a game that kind of put them back in that conversation now that the Big 12 has finally begun to cannibalize itself. So I think that Iowa State gets back in there. You picked the same thing as me. I think we're on the same page as that. Whatever Jason is doing with BYU, we will let him do that. So
Well, this is the week Jason could pick up a point or two. But other than that, you and I are pretty much in lockstep. So
all right. So transition back to us. Hit a couple comments real quick. So rain defense and run game OU 20-10 ride Sooners. I've seen some other people put 28-17 Scott Walker. He's back. He's back. He's alive, folks. He's with us. No, he was never against us. I'll see some other scores get dropped in here, which I can go back and find those. But still, people, look, we talked about it. I think we talked about it really in depth as far as kind of what we see, what the film shows.
Jimmy Satterfield's 30-24 OU. That's kind of where I'm at a little bit. Might need we'll see. If they can hold if you guys are right and they can hold Ole Miss into the 13-point range,
Yeah.
I think that's a huge statement moving forward what OU has left on their schedule.
Oh no, that's a huge statement. I think that swings a lot of things. But I think what it boils down to, honestly, it really is Arbuckle versus
Golding.
Arbuckle versus Golding. Obviously, there's some intricate details that are in there as well, as far as our DBs being able to play really good pass coverage, right? Especially on all those RPOs whenever they're able to pull it. But it's going to be interesting as well to see, can their offensive line hold up against this defensive line at only on the road, right? So that's going to be the interesting thing. I don't think that my expectation is for them not to come down here and make this a game to where we have to be NASCAR and we have to get up and down where it's 35-35 there. I think that, at the end of the day, yes, we got beat, right? So Texas fans laugh, do whatever you need to do. Regardless, though, I think that outside of the blown coverage play is one thing that's on the defense. I think that was a Dolby mistake, but at the same time, the punt return that shouldn't have been. That is what it is.
And
I
that,
think,
I mean, that was a 13-6 game. That's really what the score of that game
and
was.
the whole and the point that I'm trying to make is this right here. Um, as much as I love to give him shit, Stark is a hell of a play caller. We know that. And there are certain things that you have to do to force him out of that out of his niche, right? Out of his where he's an expert at. And I think a lot of teams are doing that now. I think it's kind of one of those. It's kind of like a Raleigh effect where it's like, you know, it's not. It's obvious what you're doing. It's just sometimes you've had guys where it's just like it doesn't matter because you've had some really really talented guys that are running your system to where it doesn't matter. But now we're kind of on a level playing field. We just have to go execute to beat you, right? But again, the point being is this right here. Kiffin is an offensive guru. Sark's an offensive guru, and I felt like we held our own against what that pass attack can be, what it would be, and what it may what it will be in the future when they get whoever they want to get there. Regardless, I would just say this is that I think that we'll be all right, and I think that our defensive line is going to have a hell of a game, and I think that again, I think this OU team. They're not coming in here, everybody patting them on the back. They're a little bit pissy, a little bit grimy, and I think that BV is going to make life hard on Chambliss, and we'll see if he can hold up. So, with that being said, people, we're going to end it there. Have a good night. We'll see you guys. Obviously, we'll figure out a time to come on for the instant reaction to the game. So definitely be tuning in to that when we come in. But like, subscribe, do all those different things across all the channels. Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason and the Coach. Sooners360 with Chris Mason and the Horns Down Podcast with me. We out, people.